So there's a few rules. You're smart. That's why you're here. I don't even need to really go into this, but there's a few rules that some people just don't know. So we're going to go into a couple of these. Rule number one, you know, when you got to go pee, you go to the toilet. Pretty basic, pretty universal. Everyone should know that. Everyone does know that. And everyone was taught that from a young age. Rule number two, you never lay your hands on a woman. You already know that. That's why you're here. I don't need to go into this because you're already here. You're already smart. We're beyond the learning curve here because you ended up on this channel. You're already smarter than the average peon. You're here with Big B. But you don't hit a woman, and you know that, and you're here. And some people don't know that. And I didn't even want to make this video, but, I really, you know, I kind of thought that, a due punishment would come for what Dana White did to make the world a little bit more of a worse place, and one didn't come. So we're going to break down a few ideas around this coming from me. Let me know your ideas in the likes, comments, and subscribes. But what we're going into here is Dana White and his crime, which is really what it was and exactly what he did. We're just going to go into some of that a little bit. You and me, Big B, we're going to do that here. So, you get this moved over here. Make Big B a bit smaller. You're going to see the B vision here. So, this is a video, and this is kind of hard for me to watch. I'm sure it is for you too, but we're going to go into this just a little bit. Now we see Dana White here, front and center. Then we see his wife right off to the side of him. Now, we're just going to break this down just a bit like you're used to here. So, as you see, I want you to see this woman to the left. She's kind of turning over, and something's going on. If I had to artistically paint what's going on right now, Dana White would be seen coming off as a predator, and his wife would be a prey. Just the feeling of the painting, if I had to paint it artistically. I don't even paint, I just know that. And look at this woman in the background. They're looking in this guy. Oh, well, what's going on over here? I am getting the feeling, and what led us to this point, I almost feel like this is what happened here. Dana White's wife got into a state where she felt like she could have been in a fight or flight situation. That's a psychological thing that has been studied in humans for a very long time. You already know this, you're smart. And I truly believe that this is what happened. This is a case of fight or flight response. But what led her to make an action like that with their fight or flight response? I kind of get the feeling like Dana White, and keep in mind, Dana White is like 60 times the size of this woman. Like, look, we're gonna highlight that just a little bit. Look at his massive. He's like, he has to be 80 times the size of this poor creature, and just the size difference alone, it makes it so much harder. It's hard to watch, but Dana White needs to respect that he's a big guy. I'm a big guy. I respect that. And that is a dainty little creature. Man, he walloped her. This is hard to watch. But look, now Sean O'Twiggy, we haven't even gone to Sean Twiggy. By the way, Sean O'Twiggy, that guy, Sean Twiggy, Malley, he said, "Oh, well, Dana, you should have got wrist control. You should have got wrist control." Now, keep in mind, Dana initiated this touching between them, I'd like to point out. But Twiggy, and I'd like to say, Twiggy, he's the type of kid that if you roll driving around as, teenagers, as we all did, and had beer in the car, got pulled over. I do believe Sean O'Malley is the type of kid that would say, beer, beer, they have beer in the car. Officer, they have beer. Don't get me in trouble. They have beer. Like, Sean's that's just the impression he gives me. He's just the type of kid that's like, officer, they have beer in this car. He just kind of seems like a nerd. Anyhow, it's just anyhow. So we're gonna go into this a little bit, but he said that he should have got wrist control. That's what Twiggy said, and he probably felt frightened by her because she might be bigger than him. But the only thing that you should get in this situation, fellas, if this happens to you, if you find yourself in this situation, the only thing that you should get right here, and that's a medical term for erection, or maybe that's the medical term, but that's a medical thing that that's the only thing you're entitled to get. You're not entitled to hit back. You should have been taught better, but and if you're like me, you'll turn it into a good situation if you can do this. If you're not a pimp, you just don't do anything. You don't do the last thing that you do is what Meathead here did. And what led us up to this point, she was feeling good, we know what happened next, but we're just gonna go back and just highlight, you know, Dana did get wrist control here. Watch. He's touching her. What are you doing, Dana? You're touching her. She feels threatened. These people are looking. What's going on? This looks like a predator prey situation. Her flight is kicking in, and he is contacting her at this point. What are you doing, Dana? Get your hands away! Get your hands away from me! She's feeling threatened. She's feeling cornered. How is a woman gonna get a big imposing man 100 times the size of her often? Get away from me, Dana. Get the hell out of here. She's more than entitled to do that because Dana White is courting her in this graph, in these stills, and he had made physical contact with her first. What the heck is she supposed to do? Yeah, hey, get this guy off me. He's 100 times bigger than me. What are you doing, Dana? Get the hell out of here, you big dork. So she slaps him. George Carlin back here, bless his soul, he can't believe what's even happening. You know? And Dana, this is the part that makes me sick. I know that I'm not trying to make it lighthearted here, but this part, it probably makes you sick as well. He wallops this girl. People are calling it a slap. She slapped him, then he slapped back. BS. That's such bull honky. He walloped this poor girl. Not once. That was twice. He goes back for like thirds and pushes her to the ground. You know. I can't really see. My eyes are the best. I can't really see what's going on there. But that wasn't just a slap. I'm not even gonna replay that. It was gross, but he walloped that poor girl. I mean, people are calling it a slap. That's not a slap. That's not a slap. What she did to him was a slap. But that was a wallop, guys. This guy's like 100 times the size of this girl. And he's hitting her with his freaking ham hock of an arm. Look at the size of this thing. That was like that might have been a punch. That might have been close fisted. And people are calling it a slap. That was far from a slap. So, I can't even have this. I'm sure you can't either. I can't even have that up anymore. That just makes me sick. The real losers in this situation aren't Dana White. The real victims. The victim, he is not the victim. His wife may be somewhat of a victim if she has and if you're in a situation of abuse or know someone who is, just make sure that you reach out and get help for them or that person. Because abuse can take a whole lot of different forms. And like I said, It's a really sick thing. It's gross. But, if that woman, she is the victim here. If she's in that situation, this is another facet to this. This is where, and we're not going to get too deep into this, too deep into the woods, but here's another facet. Sometimes people can say things are all right when they're really not all right to get out of difficult situations that are currently in their face. And it might even come back to bite them later, but and they might even be lying. So, and that's just part of that victim. There's a lot of facets to this. We're not going to go too deep into the woods there, but like they said, this isn't what's happening here. This isn't a history of abuse. This is a one-time thing, which I truly believe, I hope that she truly, this is a one-time thing, and I'm going to take them at face value for what it is. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and say they're not the victims here. They're rich, snotty, billionaire people. The real victims here are you, me, all the young men who saw this, and all the young women that are associated with these young men that saw this and that are now seeing Dana White not even get in trouble. Yeah, I think that's one of the grossest things. And Dana's White, he goes up there and he smiles, you can't punish me, with his little dorky bald head. And it's just, it makes me sick. It really does. I think it makes you sick too. A whole lot of people, I think it does. And but he's right. There really isn't a whole lot of punishment for him. He says, "Oh, well, you can fire me, but I just wanted to retire anyway." So yeah, he thinks he's smarter than everyone. But I have a couple ideas I want to float out there, because the real victims are the victims of abuse, and they're the real victims here. And this would be a great time to just highlight some cool charities or organizations that work with women that are in these abuse type situations that need help. I think that this would be a great opportunity to highlight and say, what I did was wrong, which you already did. And he says, "How am I going to fix it? What's my punishment? How am I going to fix this?" Well, I have a couple ideas. I think every cent that was supposed to go to Dana White from his whole power slapping little show, every cent of that should go to women's foundations to help them in abusive situations, which he said his wife isn't. Well, let's highlight some people that maybe aren't as fortunate as you, and go ahead and, let's just donate a whole boatload of money. If Dana White doesn't want to do it, I think that PBS or TBS, whoever it is, instead of making that power check out to Dana for that stupid TV show, which is going to suck. I'm going to make a video. You'll see it over here, right here, wherever it is. Click on that if you'd like. I'm going to go and say why power crap is a stupid concept and someone's going to get their eye knocked out. But Dana White, he should have to donate a whole boatload of money. And if he doesn't want to do it, if he's not going to sack up and donate this money to these women's charities to make what he did right, I think that TBS should just do it on his behalf instead of making that check out to him. Just say, well, we're gonna make this out to the women in the world that aren't spoiled enough to, that aren't billionaires, that are in abusive situations and need some help financially. I think that would be the correct thing to do in this situation. Definitely a good time to highlight, some of your, it's just a funny time, and this isn't funny at all, but with John Jones coming back, who, we've heard he's beat a woman to death, allegedly, give or take, almost to death. It's just kind of interesting, bad timing with the power slap and everything. And I almost wonder if there's another facet to this. I almost wonder, because Dana White has said that he loves being drama and chaos and stuff. As crazy as crazy as it is, I almost wonder, it's almost too perfect. I wonder if it was a ploy for his Power Slap show, if it was marketing. Now, it would be crazy, but Dana White is on record saying that he loves chaos, and to real intellectuals like me, we know that's just another word for drama. That's a synonym for the word drama, and people who love that type of lifestyle aren't, dramatic little drama queens aren't the type of people that I like to associate with, like Sean O'Malley. I like to associate with stone cold killers like Sean Strickland, because we were in high school with Sean Strickland. If we were all drinking beer and if we got pulled over, Sean would like stand up and I bet he'd be like, "Those are my beers. Take me to jail because, I'm fucked up anyway." And that's a stand up guy. I would salute him. I'd say that's a big money thing to do. That's big pimp right there. And I actually had a buddy who did something similar. He is a pimp. Anyhow, that was a bit of a tangent, but this video is dragging on. But anyhow, like I said, the real victims here, it isn't Snooty Dana White or the Snooty, wife. It isn't those two. Real victims are you, the young men and the young ladies that have to endure Dana White's blatant crime to make the world a bit of a worse place, which he did. And the real victims are, as well, the people that are dumb enough, like Sean, to brown nose Dana so hard that they look stupid as well, which is kind of funny. That's another facet to this that I think so. No, this is funny. This made the world a worse place. This made the world a worse place. I'm just terribly ashamed of Dana White. I made a video. This is another big reason why I'm dragging on. I really need to make a video like this, but I made a video saying I could respect Dana White if Nick and Nate Diaz like both slapped his head around like his fat head like a volleyball back and forth, and that's revoked. That offer is revoked. I'll never respect Dana the way that I used to. I used to think he was a G to some extent, but not anymore. G's don't do that. We were taught better. And I wouldn't need to. I would never find myself in that situation where I would get anything other than this. And if I did get that, I would just make it a cool situation anyway, because that's what I do. I'm a pimp. And it sucks that Dana White couldn't be one of those. And in the future, maybe he'll grow up. Anyhow, that's just what I think. Let me know what you think, and likes, comments, and subscribes. Bless you.